our whatever is left here with another episode for you guys tonight. And this time we're talking housing. I'm Dani.
And I'm Hunter.
Let's get into this.
So, fun fact, Dani, are you ready for this?
I always love the fun facts.
There are 15.1 million vacant homes in the U.S. This represents over 10% of the country's housing inventory.
I just want to make a joke and be like, half of that's in Baltimore, just because, there's so many.
I don't think half of that's in Baltimore.
I know, but it just feels like that.
A lot of it probably is.
So much of it.
But that's a lot of empty houses.
Yeah, that's why whenever people are like, we have a housing shortage, I was like, no, we have a people not wanting to fix things shortage.
Yeah, I mean, that's true too. It's a lot of empty houses. I'm sure a lot of them are in disrepair.
I feel like it would be fun though, fixing up a home, making it your perfect place, and
I'm sure a lot of them are brand new constructions that never had people move into them.
Ooh, yeah. I saw a video the other day of
ghost developments,
I saw a video of someone who bought a house and never moved into it. So everything was basically brand new, but it's from the 90s. So it's new, old technology. Stickers still on them. He just bought the house as a brand new construction and never moved in because he traveled so much, which is wild to me. Imagine being wealthy enough to buy a home and then never move in.
Yeah. We have enough empty houses in the U.S.
Okay.
to fit the entire population of many countries.
I'm looking at the country.
So, a couple of big ones, we could fit the whole population of Sweden, of Cuba, Belgium,
the Dominican Republic,
Bolivia, Tunisia, Guinea, Rwanda, Burundi. Can't fit Zimbabwe.
That's the cutoff.
A little too much. Zimbabwe's the cutoff. If you're from Zimbabwe, sorry, we can't house all of you.
We could house most of them, though.
Most of them, yeah. There'd be very few Zimbabwe citizens left if we took all of them into our empty homes.
One per person home, so not even families.
Yeah, not even families.
Your baby gets a home, you get a home. Your husband that you sometimes want to murder in his sleep gets a home. Maybe that'll solve the problem.
That's so many people.
So many people.
We have so many empty homes. Or empty houses, at least. That is wild. But that's just to put things into perspective.
And that's 10% of our inventory?
Yeah, 10%, over 10% of our total houses, I guess, is what I take that to mean.
That's wild to me.
Yeah. As of 2022, at least. So, it's a couple years out of date, but I'm sure it's only gotten worse since then.
Damn. And I can't afford a house?
Yeah. That's because, these empty houses are ones where we probably don't want to live.
Valid. No one wants to live in, there's so many places I don't want to live.
Exactly.
I want to live within 45 minutes to an hour of preferably 30 minutes to 45 minutes to an airport. That is a very specific need of mine.
Very true.
Not everyone needs that. I need that. Learned that the hard way. But in 2022, things just keeps getting sadder. There were 421,392 people that were documented as unhoused, and chronically homeless individuals were 127,768. So those are people who are just have been homeless for a while, who just can't seem to catch a break. But note, these numbers are only the homeless population as reported. I believe a few weeks ago in our Wake Up Wednesday, we talked about the oh so skillful way that we count people who are unhoused, and it's not that great. So the number is definitely a lot higher than that, and I think that's a real sad part of it.
So that is, over 500,000 people, and I'll give you the exact number in a minute here. But that is over 500,000 people too many.
Yeah.
In fact, we could give every single one of those people a vacant home and still have like 14.5 million vacant homes. To put that into perspective, we could house our homeless population many times over.
And remember, some of that homeless population are children, like little ones.
Yes, little ones. So it's a bit less about a need for homes to, put these people in. It's just the idea that homeless people don't deserve anything to be handed to them, which is what we struggle with in this country. It's almost like a moral failing on society if we give a homeless person a roof over their head that they didn't have to pay for. And it feels gross.
It feels super gross. And like the problem is like if we give all these people homes, let's just say we give all these people homes. You know how much that's going to save us in the long run?
How much?
No, I didn't actually expect you to ask like for a specific number, but I can tell you what it will save us in.
I love statistics.
It will save us money in healthcare costs because when you're unhoused, you are more likely to get sick and like things like that. Or if it's cold or really hot outside, the best place to go is a hospital. And if you can't just loiter in a hospital, you're gonna find a way to get into the ER one way or another. So, and if you're homeless or you probably don't have insurance, and that's gonna cost the hospital money, which just gets charged to the state. And people who are unhoused are often targeted by police, so that's police. The police force could be doing something more productive, and then like the jails would be less populated, which means we don't have to pay as much to feed and clothe and house them. There are so many benefits of just housing people that aren't just you won't see a homeless person on the street. No, you'll now save on healthcare and the criminal justice system. Like the whole system would.
I found some statistics you might be fond of.
I'm always fond of.
So this is from the National Prevention Science Coalition to Improve Lives.
That is a name.
It is.
NPSCIL.
NPScoalition.org is where this info is. This is the fact sheet, the cost of homelessness. So this, I'm not sure quite how up to date this is. It says this has been updated as of April 6, 2023, so it's fairly recent.
Yeah, so like last year.
The study from Los Angeles, home to 10% of the entire homeless population in the U.S., found that placing 4 chronically homeless people into permanent supportive housing saved the city more than $80,000 per year. That's over $20,000 a year per chronically homeless person.
That's 4 people. They housed 4 people permanently, and it's because I took that statistic as like those 4 people was 80 total, not 80 per person.
Yes, I did too. That's what I said.
Oh, because you said 120.
I said 20,000 per person.
Oh, sorry. I misunderstood. Yeah. So imagine if all those people, like that's a lot of money that would save people. That would save like.
Yeah. So according to the University of Texas, they had a 2-year survey of homeless individuals. Each person cost the taxpayers $14,480 per year, primarily for overnight jail.
Yep. See? Right there. Criminal justice system.
A typical cost of a prison bed in a state or federal prison is $20,000 per year. Yeah.
So it's almost like housing the homeless is a great way to, save money. And, everyone's like, oh, then,
and it's humane.
Oh, it's 100% humane, especially in the states like California or Texas or, the super northern states that get a lot of snow. Like
the super north.
The super.
That's just Canada.
That is true. There is so much we can do to help our population in general.
According to the January 22 PIT count, 582,462 people were experiencing homelessness across America. This amounts to roughly 18 out of every 10,000 people. The vast majority, 72%, were individual adults, but a notable share, 28%, were people living in families with children.
28% were families.
Over 1 in 4. That's a lot. Lot to deal with there. But I still think we have enough homes for all of them.
100%. Yeah, apparently 1 in 10 young adults, 18 to 25, would experience homelessness.
Yeah, been there.
Hashtag same. 1 in 30 children face homelessness over the course of any given year in the United States. Just a reminder, you are closer to being homeless than you are to being a millionaire.
And definitely closer to being homeless than being a billionaire.
I lost my tab. Okay. These I'm just because this that came from State of Homelessness. I thought it was just Stop Homelessness or endhomelessness.org. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's where we're getting the statistics from. Well, one of the places.
I'm curious about our home state of Maryland. 5,349 people experiencing homelessness. That's 8.7 people per 10,000 in the state of Maryland.
It's pretty low compared to a lot of other states.
Yeah. We are like a lighter blue. Damn, Alaska.
I wonder if that has to do with their Native American population.
It most likely has to do with their Native American population. I know Hawaii is that because they're getting priced out of their
own island.
Yeah.
Chain. Yeah. So there's a lot of places where people are having trouble finding places to live. Our state feels kind of low compared to a lot of these other ones.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the lowest. Mississippi?
Huh.
1,196, so 4.1 per 10,000.
Are we really trusting accurate numbers from Mississippi, though?
Isn't that the state that can't count?
I don't know.
Aren't they like ranked last in education? Was my point. It's.
I don't know. We can check. This isn't what we wanted to talk about tonight, but
No.
we could check.
It's because I made a bad joke and now I need to know. I like that they put Puerto Rico here too. It really is Mississippi.
All right. The worst one is apparently New Mexico.
Oh.
This list has Mississippi as 41 though, so it's still pretty bad.
Yeah. So.
It is number 48 in best states overall, so it's pretty bad.
So it's pretty bad. Not a great state. As a reminder, we have 50 of them.
But apparently Louisiana is the worst state in this
Really?
list. Yeah.
Huh. That's a choice.
Yeah, people don't like the South very much on this list. The South and Alaska got a really bad rap. But yeah, so did you find anything interesting that you were looking for?
I just was like, it was Mississippi, which is, not a lot of homeless folks. But I think they also don't have like a lot of social support either. So I think most people probably try and find another state to be in. Or get bussed out. That is a thing that people do. They bust out their homeless population.
And yeah. For sure.
So some are, I think, for the betterment of the homeless people, but I think mainly because they don't want people to be homeless around them.
But, instead of doing something humane about it.
No, we're just going to take a human, put them on a bus, and drop them somewhere else, away from anyone or anything they've ever known.
And somewhere where the liberals are in charge.
Are you talking about when it was... okay, that's a tangent we do not need to go into right now. Okay. But in this country, instead of providing every person with a home, we rely on the private market. And boo, private market, boo. Okay, and for those who cannot afford to purchase their own house, at market costs, a growing number of us, the Department of Housing and Urban Development provides us with vouchers to help us cover the cost of rent.
Yeah. So these are Section 8 housing vouchers.
Which has its own issues in and of itself.
Yes. I actually got to write a paper this past semester about comparing Section 8 vouchers to, like, state-owned housing developments. Oh,
like how they do it in Europe?
They don't do it as much in Europe as you might think they do.
Oh, okay. Because I saw that there was a...
They've been mostly phased out by this voucher program, which for me still leaves a little bit too much in the hands of the private market. It's like, sure, the government's going to help pay for it, but if the landlords keep upping the cost of rent, that's just more and more of a... Either you're still getting priced out, or it's making the government have to give you more and more expensive vouchers to keep up with it.
Yeah, I keep thinking, like, there's on TikTok, there's a guy who, like, only does Section 8 rentals. And I'm like, I feel like the shittiest people are the ones who probably, like, primarily focus on being a Section 8 landlord. Which is weird because it's, like, one of the hardest ways to be a landlord because, like, it is, like, you get inspected to all hell.
I mean, boo-hoo.
No, I'm not feeling bad for the landlords,
Fuck the landlords.
Says a man who does not have... Well, you technically don't have one.
Technically.
I like my landlord.
Good for you.
I know I'm lucky in the having a good landlord, but
There's no such thing as a good landlord or landlady.
yeah, technically landlady, lady of the land.
Because at the end of the day, you're just paying off their mortgages
Assuming they have one.
or just providing them with passive income. In a lot of cases, you end up being the main breadwinner for your landlord's family.
If I can find that, I will post it right here.
Which is really fucked up.
I'm the breadwinner for my landlord's family.
And mine. 2 families off of my income. But yeah, it can get kind of messed up. It's definitely a predatory system. I think we can all acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Landlords don't provide anything. They don't provide housing. The people who built these things technically did. Landlords are just middlemen.
Are you, landlords are the middle management of the housing community.
I guess it's property managers. Which small landlords double as both, but big landlords skip to have property managers.
Yeah, but at least property managers provide value.
Well, so how do you feel about the voucher program? Do you think it's a good idea, a bad idea, making the best of a bad situation?
It is an idea.
That was the vaguest thing you've ever said.
In the sense, like, I think in practice, it's not done well, but in theory, it could do so much better.
I think I can agree with part of that.
Yeah. I think in a lot of ways, I think the waiting 18 plus years to hear back is wild to me. Like, at that point, so much could have happened in life. That person could be dead by the time you get to them because they had no stable housing. I think it's interesting that I can take my voucher from one city/state and transfer it to a different one, which is something people do, and a lot of people end up going to Hawaii, where they have low voucher program, like low amounts, but because it's coming from another state, it's fine. It's like I think it's weird to go to a state that can barely sustain itself, and is having trouble with their own residents and their own issues, and choosing to skip the line.
We should do a Hawaii episode.
I think we should do a Hawaii episode. I think we've talked a lot about the last 2 weeks that it deserves its own little episode.
I'd like to point out that of only like people who are really disadvantaged can even qualify for Section 8.
Yeah.
So according to the HUD website, in general, the family's income may not exceed 50% of the median income for the county or metropolitan area in which the family chooses to live. And by law, the PHA must provide 75% of its voucher to applicants whose incomes do not exceed 30% of the area median income. So, you have to make half or less of the median income for your area to be eligible. So you have to be like in the bottom 25% of the population, money-wise.
Yeah. And in some areas, like New York, it's easier than others.
Yeah, in a place where there's, high incomes, it's easier, I guess, to fall in the 25%. But rents are also usually higher in those kinds of areas too.
Yeah.
So it doesn't help that much.
No. It is. I'm trying to work. Go ahead. You go.
All right. We can move on from there then.
No, I just think it's like, that's just to qualify. That's not even to like get it. Like, you might not, because you even said like they prefer it to be 75%, right? So like, or
no, so
30%.
Public housing agencies. That's what PHA stands for. The PHAs receive federal funds from the Department of Housing and Urban Development to administer the voucher program. So by law, the public housing agencies must provide 75% of its voucher to applicants whose income do not exceed 30%.
Okay. Yeah. So you have to be really, really struggling.
Yeah. And each PHA is going to have different, income limits for your area and family size.
Okay. I'm looking in our area. That means 43,528.
So if you want to have a good chance of being in Section 8 in our area, you're looking at needing to make under $22,000 a year.
Let's say 30%. Yeah. Theoretically, for the 30% benchmark, 13,000.
Yeah. So that's where 75% of the voucher money has to go to those who have basically no income at all.
Yeah. That's not even minimum wage.
Yeah. That's a little bit under minimum wage.
If
someone's working full time. We are up to 15.
Oh, then yeah.
Starting last month.
Someone making minimum wage would not qualify for our voucher program.
If they were working full time.
No. Even part-time, 'cause I did $13 at 20 hours a week, and that barely qualified them. Yeah. Well, it qualifies them,
yeah,
but
you can't be a full-time worker.
At 30 hours. I'm thinking about that 30-hour benchmark where 75% of people are going to.
Yeah, it's hard to qualify.
Yeah.
Of course, if you have a lot of children, then that's going to change your qualifications. The number of your dependents will, give you a bigger buffer zone on, how much money you're allowed to make, and before you are treated as being needy, I guess.
Yeah. That's why Republicans have that talking point.
Which talking point?
That women are having babies just to stay on welfare.
Ugh. Gross.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to say it. I was like, I hate that talking point.
All right. So it's pretty rough. It's a pretty rough system. It's not perfect. But in other countries, though, housing is seen as a right. So even the United Nations defines housing as a human right and not a commodity. But talking about commodities, we can pivot back to landlords. The reason housing does not seem affordable today, we have many corporations that are buying up single-family homes just to turn around and rent them to more people for a profit.
So that's atrocious. We hate corporations buying up resources to be selfish and sell them back. That's basically what it is. Corporations looking at like people like you and I, and be like, I will buy this thing. You are selling it for $100. I will give you $120. and then buying it, doing nothing to it, but maybe painting it, and then turning around and be like, I am renting this for each room. You're going to pay me $25. And then it's like 4 rooms. So then they're making $100 each month. So they're making profit over profit over profit.
Hand over fist. Yeah, it's really gross and not okay.
No.
For reasons that we will explain.
Yeah.
So, Danny, tell us who are the bad guys in this situation?
Landlords. Corporations.
But which ones?
Oh, specifically.
Specifically.
Well, according to TopTal, J.P. Morgan. We love J.P. Morgan. Asset management. Everyone knows J.P. Blackstone, and our favorite, always, Goldman Sachs. So they are bankrolling more than 2,000 single-family home rental companies. They're buying up existing properties and building new ones. More new builds are going towards people, to corporations to rent out than they're actually going to people, which is gross.
Yeah, and as if we didn't already have too many empty homes.
Yeah, because these companies will just leave it empty if it's not gonna rent for what they thought.
They're not gonna lower the cost or something.
What? Wait, but I thought in capitalism the market determines the price for everything. Aren't we the market? Don't
stop pointing out, intrinsic flaws in their logic.
I'm just saying these are economics people. These are accountants and financial gurus who say capitalism works and that the market determines the values of items. I'm just saying. It's Goldman Sachs. It's J.P. Morgan. It's Blackstone. Big names.
These people obviously know what they're doing. They've only crashed the economy a few times already.
Yeah. And last time they did it was also in housing. Last big time they did it.
Yeah. So, big group of terrible people trying to do terrible things. Surprise.
What?
So these companies and institutions purchased 90,215 homes in the third quarter of 2021 and accounted for 18% of single-family home sales.
That is ridiculous.
That's up 80.2% from 2020, according to the online real estate firm Redfin. Nearly 3/4 of residential purchases by investors were single-family homes, while multifamily homes, a market in which investors have been significant players for decades, accounted for just 1/4 of sales. So they're really focusing on the single-family homes.
Yeah, because they're making owning a home less and less a reality and more of a pipe dream. And they're like, oh, well, if you can't buy a home, why not rent one?
Because it doesn't build up any equity. Because you have to give your money to someone and have nothing to show for it at the end of the day. We don't like landlords here. Well, as a show, we don't. Danny likes.
I like my landlord. My very specific landlady is a doll, and she is a sweetheart. And when she bought this, she did not buy this home for the purposes of being a landlady.
Yes, she's actively choosing it now, though.
Well, but yes, as a show, we are anti-landlord. Especially corporate landlords. Fuck those guys.
I've never met a landlord that I liked.
How many landlords have you met?
A few.
So, well, as we continue our hate on landlords, there is some hope that local or state government has the ability to help. Often their efforts, though, get misreported by the corporate media and leads to misunderstanding with the public. As many of you may have recalled, last year, Shawnee, Kansas, was going viral because they were banning roommates. Or at least that's what it seemed like. They started a law that was aimed primarily towards corporations buying homes and renting out the rooms to individuals. Shawnee wanted to put in place an idea that would stop this from happening, so that anyone who more than 4 people could not live in a place and not be related. So yes, it sounds really bad, like, oh, I can't live with roommates to help cut down the cost. No, the idea was your corporate landlord can't rent out room A and then to you and then find some random guy Ken to rent out room B and have a serial killer rent out room C without you choosing who your roommates are. The idea was to prevent strangers who did not want to live together and force them to live together, because all you get to do is choose if you live in a room or not.
I feel like there were probably easier ways to go about making a law to stop that kind of thing from happening than going about it the way that they did. I mean, couldn't they have just made it so that, large real estate companies couldn't buy up and rent homes like that? Instead of making it so that
I think
people who aren't related can't live in the same house.
I think they did it this way because then it avoids the freedom of speech argument that could be made.
What freedom of speech argument?
Because they're spending their money, and the way that you use your money is considered free speech.
Fuck off.
I'm just saying, it's an argument that, like...
It's a dumb argument, and it shouldn't be real, and it sounds fake.
It sounds fake, but it's an argument that...
Money is not speech.
I agree with that. You agree with that. We agree that money is not speech. But there's a precedent set for it, and,
It's a dumb precedent.
I think it is too, but again, you have to think about what these people were trying to achieve, and they didn't want it to get knocked down by a lawyer being like, well, you're infringing on this company's freedom of speech by not letting them buy these houses.
Yeah, but I mean, I have people I know who live like 4 or 5 to an apartment, and they're not related at all.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be able to. Well,
but
if they were in like a home situation, they couldn't.
It's
split
also
a house together, I guess.
It also was like a for this to have gone into effect, like in this case, you or I would have had to report those people. So it's the
specifically.
Not us specifically.
Are we narcs now?
Yes, we're narcs. No, I'm saying like in the situation of the people that we know that live in an apartment, there are 4 or 5 people to the apartment. It would be someone that they know that reported it, and like that's part of it. It's like most people would be fine because you hope that your homie ain't gonna rat you out. I mean, you're my only friend, so like.
True.
It's a little hype.
Someone be Danny's friend.
I have friends.
Please.
You know what, Hunter?
I can't do this by myself.
You're not doing it by yourself. But yeah, so your friends would have to be the ones to narc on you, but I think so that it made it a little bit more fair, and that these corporations who were selling rooms, I could be like, hey, so this company I just like talked about buying renting from is doing some sketch shit.
As they tend to do.
Yeah, because they're companies and they're corporations and they are above the law, or at least they feel like it because they could just pay the fine.
So I wanted to finish by talking about how we can help solve these problems. So, personally, step 1. We give people houses. We have empty houses. We have people that need a place to stay. Why not let the people live there?
What if the people don't want to live in the houses that we give them?
Okay. I think that's a valid opinion. They don't have to live there. But on the flip side, literal beggars cannot be choosers. Look, if okay.
Okay, wait. So,
So,
when
okay,
when I say this, please note that I like this is not meant to be as big of a dig as it sounds. What about veterans who don't even want to go to the VA for help? What are you telling me that they don't get to choose? Like they don't want the house, so they just die?
Well, obviously they get all kinds of other assistance, but you can't like make someone move into the house. You say, "Hey, we have an empty house with your name on it in like Topeka, Kansas."
I hear Topeka's great this time of year.
But you live in Miami, and you don't want to leave Miami because everyone you know is in Miami.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Miami has like abandoned houses.
I mean, I'm sure they do, but for this instance, say the house that's picked out for you is all the way out in Topeka.
I guess that's another thing. Like I'm not trying.
Do you move out to Topeka? Do you live to have a free house?
Let me look at Topeka real quick.
Oh gosh, not that this wasn't like a tangent that I was hoping to go down.
No, I'm just curious. Like Topeka, it's very beige.
Yes. As I imagine Kansas is. Sorry, Kansas.
They have a regional airport.
I forgot that's one of your clauses.
It is.
So as long as it's within 30 minutes.
45.
As she looks it up.
Where is Topeka, Kansas?
Why don't you open up the map instead of just a regular like Google search?
Because I can't read a map.
But yes, give people houses.
Give people houses. Ignore the Topeka,
these houses
Kansas.
are owned by people or companies. So what do?
Pennies on the dollar. If we can. Ooh, no. I'm gonna go on a tangent on that.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so if we can take over private property and give it to the government under like public domain.
Eminent domain?
Eminent domain. We can do the same thing with these corporations and give them the same respect that we give regular, everyday citizens, which is pennies on the dollar, because we're not going to give them a choice. You're just going to be like, nope, this is the government's now. Here you go. Here's your payout. Suck it up, buttercup.
But eminent domain is a tool that...
It is a tool that could be used properly in giving people free housing.
Yes. Seize their assets, but make it legal by paying them very little.
Pennies. That rant came out of nowhere. I got really passionate.
yeah, and
it's a
weird one.
It was a weird one. Like I never thought I had a eminent domain opinion, but then again I have an opinion about everything.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about that sometime.
Not saying abolish the eminent domain, because it can be useful, and like that's how we have national and state parks, and like there's positives that come out of it, but it's just the negatives that make me mad. Okay, but step 2. Since we're talking about these corporations and screwing them over, stop corporations from buying single-family homes. Stop corporations from buying homes. Stop corporations from buying. Just stop corporations.
Stop.
Just stop.
Yes, they have too much power, especially in this situation. They're able to come in, spend more on a house than it's worth, often spending in cash which makes it a very attractive offer compared to
Yes.
someone needing to get a big loan from a bank. So you're gonna make more money that way, and you're sort of cutting everyone else out of the market. Regular people aren't competitive in that regard.
Yeah.
Can't keep up with the corporations and their buying power. And it sucks. It sucks. So stop them from doing this. Create laws and regulations that restrict how they're able to do these sorts of things.
Also, so my boss sold her home last year. 2 years ago, recently, in a recent time. And one of the things that she wanted to do was make sure that the home didn't get sold to a corporation or investors. That was like one of her big things. That's what she told her realtor. That's like when she was looking at people, like she interviewed people too to make sure. And make it so that if you're gonna buy an investment, like if you as an individual are just buying it as an investment property, you have to disclose that. I feel like that's like what ended up happening was she found a really nice family that she thought would be great for this. And when she asked, like when they were signing and like, when it was too late to back out, and she was like, "Oh, when are you guys planning on moving in?" They were like, "Oh, well, we actually just wanted to expand our portfolio," and like that pissed her off to all hell because like she did so much work to try not let this be an investment property just to get screwed over by people being shitty.
Yeah, that's that would really upset me too.
Yeah.
People are the worst.
People suck.
Yeah. So step 3.
Step
Okay.
number 3.
Build new housing developments that are owned and managed by local governments that allow people to live there at the cost of utilities and maintenance. The government does not need to make a profit.
Some things are okay to just be services.
Things are allowed to break even.
Things are allowed to just exist.
Things are allowed to just exist. Yes, so while we don't really need more houses in general, since we have so many, not all the houses are in places where people want to live, which we touched on earlier a little bit.
Like Topeka, Kansas.
I mean, some people want to live in Topeka.
It's very beige.
Not me.
No, not I.
Not me, but some people do.
It's like an hour and 5 minutes away from an airport, so definitely not I.
Isn't the Topeka airport an hour outside of Topeka?
No, the Kansas City.
That'll do it.
Yeah, it was like an hour away.
Rough. But, yeah.
I can't just take a private jet flight from one side of the city to another.
Are you calling out a certain billionaire celebrity?
Yes.
Is it Taylor Swift?
Also yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you could build new developments in areas where people want to live, so they don't have to get a house in Topeka.
Poor Topeka's getting really like these strays that it did not need. I'm pretty sure Topeka's a okay place to live.
We have to visit Topeka.
We do. Next year, we'll plan a trip to Topeka, Kansas. Maybe a layover.
All right.
Live from Topeka, Kansas. Whatever is left.
It's just Topeka. This is what's left.
This is what's left.
But yeah, so it'll be cheaper.
Yeah.
For people to live there, since you're not trying to get a profit off of your tenants. That's step 3.
Step 4. Remove restrictions on multifamily homes. That's a big reason that we're seeing a lot of like either apartments or single family homes being built. Counties and states have restrictions. Bring back the duplex. Bring back the triplex. Bring back the glorious quadplex. Just bring back multifamily homes. And let's stop shaming people for living in one of those. It feels a little classist.
Can we have a pentaplex?
I think so. I don't
How
know.
many times can we just add the word plex onto...
Until it becomes an apartment?
Yeah. That's for our viewers to decide. Tell us in the comments.
When does it go from multifamily to just apartments?
Yes. How many plexes?
How many plexes? Oh. Yeah.
Step 5. It's getting late.
Not even as late as we normally go.
Introduce caps to the cost of rent. Rent caps.
Rent motherfucking caps.
Everywhere. If we're going to keep renting for some godforsaken reason, at least make it affordable.
Can I make a step 5.5?
Yeah.
Realization.
What is that, Danny?
It is when certain... It doesn't have to be the whole building, but certain... actually, I think it's... At least in New York, it's whole buildings where rent is set at a certain rate and that it can only increase so much. And it has to be... in New York specifically, I know they have to send it to the housing authority. And you can look at the history of how much you're supposed to be paying versus how much you pay, because a lot of landlords will do rent stabilized apartments and then still overcharge, and you can't make a profit off of that. And if they do, the landlord actually has to pay you back all your overages plus some. So rent stabilized.
It's a pretty good system.
Yeah. But in places like Texas, the city of Austin specifically cannot do rent stabilization because Texas law does not allow it.
Well, that's because Texas is an awful place.
Yeah, but it's just an example of that. Like, these are states have to allow it so that we, the people, can benefit.
We, the people. Americans.
Yeah. So.
America.
So when you say introduce caps to cost of rent, did you mean like monthly caps, or like the cap on how much the rent can increase?
Yes.
What and how are you?
Both of those.
Okay, I'm okay with both of those. So are we saying that? Are we gonna appraise each property differently? Because like you have luxury apartments which are really nice and like should in theory cost more than like a standard apartment. Like, so is it apartment to apartment or a building or floor to floor?
I guess it would be apartment to apartment if they're all going to be different.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I want to see your train of thought. I'm not.
I guess that would be something that the local
housing
authority or the public housing agencies, all those kinds of like local groups who manage the housing vouchers and things like that today would be in charge of doing in this, in the future.
Ooh, or hear me out.
Listening.
Set it to that rent cannot be more, except for those like luxury apartments. I guess like the luxury apartments can be exist outside this little bubble. Cannot be more than 30% of the median income of the community you're in. Because economists, that's what they say, is 30% of your total monthly income should go towards rent.
Yes, housing in this country sucks. It's a serious problem. We have tons of houses. We have tons of houseless people. We could give them homes.
We literally could just give them homes.
We could make it illegal for corporations to keep screwing people over. We could get rid of landlords as an institution. I'm all for that one. We could build housing developments for people.
Expand our voucher program.
Yeah, and do lots of other fun stuff. So, this has been all for us tonight. I'm Hunter.
And I'm Danny.
And we'll catch you guys next week.